listen, all these people spinning on planet Earth right now, you've had one of the most extraordinary lives in sports of anybody the last 20 years. So the third leading receiver in the history of the NFL isn't starting as a junior in high school until
nor a senior year either.
Are you kidding me?
No. I lived in the projects, you know what I mean? So when you think about projects, I mean, being on welfare, you know, I know what that's like. You know, having to stand in line to get blocks of cheese and bread and stuff like that. I know what that is. My grandmother changed and she had no idea it was changing because she was diagnosed with dementia. Her health was deteriorating and she had no idea who I became.
Welcome back to Max Out with Ed Mylett. The gentleman to my left does not need an introduction. This is Terrell Eldorado Owens.
Not my full name.
Otherwise known as T.O. to most of you out there. Right. And newly elected NFL Hall of Famer, T.O. So congratulations on that.
Appreciate it.
And welcome to the program.
Appreciate it. Max out, huh?
Max out, exactly. We're gonna max out the day here today. So there's so much to talk about. So this guy, you know, if you don't know, Google it, but you're talking about, in my opinion, my generation, the best wide receiver in football and arguably the best player in football during that time. 153 touchdowns, almost 16,000 receiving yards. Probably the most impressive thing, I don't know if you know this or not, only player in the history of the NFL to score a touchdown against every single team. Did you know that?
I do know that.
Yeah, but even better than that, maybe you don't know this, only player in the history of the NFL to score 2 touchdowns against every single team. Did you know that?
I think I did.
That's a real thing. You knew. You knew. So you're talking about, I mean, in the history of football, one of the all-time greats. But I actually don't think it's the most interesting thing about you. I think the most interesting thing about you that I've started to learn is how you grew up. So I want to talk a little bit about that because I don't think coming out of this, you went to Tennessee, Chattanooga. That's not necessarily, no offense, but that's not a wide receiver NFL powerhouse of football, right? So, and where you grew up and how you grew up, I don't think everybody would have predicted at 8 years old or 10 years old or even 17 years old necessarily you would turn out to be the way that you did. So I want to talk about how you got there and what you did. So how did you grow up? Like, where did you grow up?
Alexander City, Alabama. Relatively small town.
Like how small?
I think 14, 15,000 people.
Small, yeah.
So relatively small. I mean, where everybody knows your name.
Yeah,
like that, like that TV show Cheers.
Yeah,
you know, everybody knows your business.
Right.
They know what's going on.
Right.
But our football team, our school, we were 6A. I mean, so we were pretty big in terms of school size.
In high school.
In high school.
But you didn't play football before high school, though, right?
No, I played in junior high, but I was just kind of on the team.
That's crazy.
Again, I was really little, skinny, scrawny. When I left high school, I was probably maybe right at 6 feet.
Oh, you kept growing.
6'1" and maybe 170, 75 pounds.
Did you not? You can go back a little further. Did you start like your freshman year on varsity in high school?
No, I didn't. I was on JV. I was on junior varsity.
You played JV.
Right, junior varsity. Then obviously once you get past the 10th grade, you have to play on the varsity. So I played a number of sports, from baseball, basketball, I ran track. Yeah. Obviously football. So I just played the sport because I was competitive. Just liked to play the game. My junior year, that was when I really got an opportunity to play. I was like second or third string, so actually second string. So the receiver that was going to be playing that particular game on a Friday night, he ended up getting sick during the school day, and so I ended up having to start. And so my running back coach, Coach Lassiter, came up to me. He goes, "Yo, Ricky's sick." He goes, "You're gonna have to start. You're gonna have to play tonight." And so he basically gave me some encouraging words. Sat at my locker. He literally said, "He goes, you're gonna do fine. Don't worry about anything." And he went on to say, "He goes, you know what? You're gonna score a touchdown tonight." Did you? And I did.
You did. But so the third leading receiver in the history of the NFL isn't starting as a junior in high school until
nor
this guy.
Senior, nor senior year either.
Are you kidding me?
No.
You didn't start as a senior in high school? That's
bananas.
So you obviously, wow, like, isn't that a lesson? All you young athletes that follow me, hey, just because it's not where it needs to be right now doesn't mean it can't get there. And you entrepreneurs that are following me, you may not be on the varsity of business yet, This is one of the all-time greats in the history, and you're talking about, by that time, most guys are being recruited. They got 8, 9, 10 schools coming after them.
Absolutely.
That's crazy. So what did you do? Just like every time you get an opportunity, you just took advantage of it? Is that what would happen?
I did. My head coach at the time, Steve Severese, he basically, during the course of the school year, we have probably like a 30 to 45 minute period, what they call it, enrichment period, where we can either study other, work on other subjects, kind of to help get your grades up, things of that nature. I used that time to go down to lift weights. So he basically went around to, again, they sent something around to all the teachers that basically said, if a player wants to go out, if you guys grant him, let him get a pass to go down to the weight room or what have you. And so that's literally what I did. I took those moments, those 30, 45 minutes of enrichment period, talked to the teacher, went down to the weight room, and that's where I started to put in extra work just to kind of get myself bigger, faster, and stronger.
Is that always a theme through the whole 15 years in the NFL?
Yes, that was the start of it. And so my coach now, he's Coach Savarese, he's over the whole Alabama Athletic Association, Football Association. And so these are some of the things when he left, and he coached a couple of years at a couple of high schools. That was the message to some of his students that with me really kind of continuing, beginning the success that I did early on in my San Francisco days, that was the story that he told those students, that I was a kid that really put in hard work. I wasn't the most athletic, I wasn't the most sought after, I wasn't the most highly recruited coming out of high school, going into college, but he always remembered during those enrichment periods, he could go down that weight room, go down that hall, he would hear somebody or weights clinking around in the weight room, he knew exactly who it was. And it was me.
That's awesome. So just so you know, even for me, because I know a lot about you, I did not know you didn't start in high school until your senior year. And so then you didn't get recruited by the Alabamas, the Auburns, the LSUs either, right?
Yep, I just got asked this question just a few days ago. Again, Auburn is 45 minutes from me.
Right.
University of Alabama, they're an hour and something away from me. But again, it's not their fault. I was a late bloomer. My body developed late. My skill set wasn't where it needed to be to even capture the attention of some of those schools of that caliber. So again, when I look back on my whole professional career, and even scholastically, high school, college, without my desire, coupled with my dedication and my discipline, those are my 3 Ds. Desire, dedication, and discipline. Without those 3, I wouldn't be where I am today.
All these people spinning on planet Earth right now, you've had one of the most extraordinary lives in sports of anybody the last 20 years, right? All kinds of different things have happened. And so before we get even into college, but I want to go back.
Right.
I think when I interview people and my friends that are successful, I go back when they're a little boy. So I'm talking little Terrell, Terrell, right? Make sure I pronounce it correctly. Little Terrell. I go back to that little boy. I wonder what was going on in that dude's life to give him this edge, this drive, all these different things that make you up. Usually, there's like a great person behind him, or extraordinary person. Usually a woman when it's a man. So for you, when you were this little boy, we go back to 6-year-old T.O., 8-year-old, 9-year-old. What was your life like, and who was instrumental in it?
Again, growing up in a low income, type of environment.
Real low income?
Yeah, I mean, I lived in the projects. You know what I mean? So when you think about projects, I mean, being on welfare. I know what that's like. Having to stand in line to get blocks of cheese and bread and stuff like that. I know what that is. The WIC program, Women, Infant, and Children. I'm familiar with that. Food stamps, I'm familiar with that. I went through that process. Again, living in the projects. Again, if you lived in the projects, you know what it's like. Not the best of situations. You got roaches crawling around, turn on the lights, they scurry around. Dude, I lived it. So again, my grandmother, like I said, I lived with my mom a little bit. Again, we stayed in the projects, and she had me at a very young age. My grandmother helped my mom raise not only but me, but my other siblings. So when you think about the women or a woman behind, that little 6, 8, 9, 10-year-old Terrell, that's who it was. It was my grandmother.
What did she do for you? What was significant about her for you?
Just the way she raised me. I mean, she was from the South. Anybody that knows anything about the 50s, 60s, it was rough, especially for an African American. She picked cotton.
Wow.
Her mom and dad picked cotton. So it was a generational thing. So these are some of the things that I learned. And even when she was on the phone talking to her friends, I was ear hustling at that age. I heard some of the hardships that not only that she had to go through, but what she learned through her mom and her dad. I mean, at one point through her life, she lost track of her mom. She had no idea where she was. And again, when I got into college and a few years into the National Football League, my mom tried to help find my grandmother's mom.
Oh my gosh.
There was rumors that she was in prison and all these things, and obviously to no success. But again, these are some of the things. Again, the way that I was raised, I'm a product of my environment, and I feel like she raised me the right way. She
taught us discipline.
Absolutely. You can add that to my list of D's.
Yeah.
I mean, it is in there,
Yeah.
but discipline was a big part of it. Growing up in a household like that, I was under her roof. I had to abide by her rules.
I can almost picture her. So when you made it, I'm just curious. You made it, you've signed, you probably had your rookie deal, but then you finally had you get that good contract, right? You had that first contract. What was it like for you? Like, was she proud of you? Like, did her life change? What was it like for you to be able to do something for her? What would that feel like? Just because I want everybody to know, like, you have a breakthrough moment someday. Like, what's that feel like?
It changed, and she had no idea it was changing because she was diagnosed with dementia.
That's right.
In '96, and that was my rookie year. And anybody that knows anything about dementia and the progression, and obviously Alzheimer's, in which I'm an advocate for. Again, I didn't realize until I really did a lot of research and became more knowledgeable about the disease. But she had no idea what was going on with her, how her health was eventually going to deteriorate to where she had no idea. She wouldn't recognize her own son, her own daughters. So again, the bond and relationship that we had I'm so thankful and blessed and fortunate, because even throughout my 15-year career, I was able to, once she got to a point of where she couldn't walk around. My grandmother was very active. She didn't drive a car for a period of years, but she would walk all through town. That's how small our town was. I mean, she would walk through town. She didn't want to ride with anybody. That was her way of just exercising. But unbeknownst to her, her health was deteriorating. And she had no idea who I became. Understanding, you talk about the contracts. Again, I made in 1 year what she probably made her entire life.
Right.
I ended up paying off her house.
Awesome.
She had no idea.
Yeah.
But again, these are some of the things that I felt like I owed to her because of some of the things that she did, not only for me, but my mom as well. And so everything that I've done throughout my career, she's definitely been at the backbone. She's been the cornerstone. She's been my inspiration. She's been my motivation, regardless of the perception that people have of me based on the media portrayal of some of the situations that have gone on through my career.
And speaking of that, it's one of the things a lot of people don't really even know about with TO2 is he does a lot of work with Alzheimer's. He does a lot of work with people that suffer from dementia and things of that sort. And so you're talking about a guy who's put his heart, his time, and his money where his mouth is on this stuff too. So I knew she was a significant presence in your life, and I didn't want to do an interview with you without honoring her.
Oh, absolutely.
And so that's why I bring that up. So anyway, you go away, you played basketball and football in college, right?
I did.
And your college football team wasn't a winning team either.
No, it's funny. We played 11 games a year. So a total of 44 games my whole college career. Guess how many games that I won?
How many did you win? 13.
Oh
my gosh, are you kidding me?
13, that's it.
Oh my gosh.
So that tells you where the program was at that point in time. From 92 to 96.
Oh my gosh.
And now where they are.
Right.
The athletic director, the chancellor at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, me leaving there, kind of putting them on the map, so to speak. They basically said, I've helped their program.
Oh my gosh, of course.
To get to where they are right now. And I was so touched and moved 3 years ago when I went back for the first homecoming in 19 years. I had no idea what kind of impact that me going to Chattanooga, me having the level of success that I've had in the National Football League, what it meant to my college.
I got to imagine that every single recruiting conversation they've had since the day you signed with the Niners and became something, your name was said.
And again, but like I said, I was so oblivious from 96 being drafted with the Niners of what I was doing, and what I was gonna and what I became. I had no idea.
I think there's a lot of things. I think there's things that guys like you do that are just unconscious. Like, I just think there's a lot of things that are great about you that you take for granted because it's you, and also some of the results or impact you can have. And so
unconscious and unknown. There are so many great things that I've done throughout the course of my career, and the media kind of handpick and nitpick, you know, people that they want to put at the forefront and glorify. I never really was fortunate enough to be one of those guys because of my personality. I think maybe it rubbed some people the wrong way because of my confidence, and that often got misconstrued with being cocky and arrogant. My grandmother, we just mentioned, like, she would be appalled if I was arrogant or cocky. That's not how I was raised. And so for me to hear all these things and for the media to portray me in this light, I dealt with it internally. Nobody wants to be frowned upon or looked down on or be characterized as being arrogant or just a bad person in general. So I had to internalize these things. Again, I was bullied. I was picked on as a little kid as well. I had self-esteem issues. I didn't like being dark-skinned. I didn't like being skinny. So a lot of these things that I experienced as a young age, it motivated me as I grew up.
It's stacked and stacked. I tell you what, man, I appreciate how honest you are, not only throughout your career, but also even now, just saying those things, because there's a lot of guys out there that are watching this. They're insecure. They're getting bullied. Their skin's too dark, or their skin's too light, or their eyes are a certain way. They're getting bullied for. They're too heavy.
Before I knew the correct term of what being picked on mean. Now it's bullying.
It's bullying. They give it a term.
Right, you have this campaign around bullying. I have a guy in Montana, William Henry, who has a program now to really combat and really build around like guys like myself to help promote and with bullying.
I hope all you young guys out there or parents who have young kids, I hope you play this part of the segment for them, because he turned that into fuel for himself eventually, right? And in terms of you, when you played, listen, I'm sure you'd acknowledge everyone makes mistakes in their life. They say something they shouldn't say.
No doubt.
But I got to tell you, what the media loves to do, I work with a lot of athletes, and what the media loves to do is they create characters. People aren't one-dimensional. You have many dimensions to you. So once you're a character, they love to portray you a certain way, ask you questions that fit that narrative, and then all of a sudden, find me an athlete find me a professional athlete who's not incredibly confident, and I will show you somebody who is no longer a professional athlete, right? You have to play with immense confidence. It's not arrogance. You just answer stuff honestly. So let's talk about that for the career for a second. I'm curious, because this small town guy, not a big time school, now you're in camp with the Niners, your rookie year, okay? Jerry freaking Rice is there. Probably your hero growing up, right?
I never, like I said, my grandmother's so strict, I didn't get to do a whole lot. Didn't watch a lot of TV.
That's crazy.
The only TV shows that I really got to watch was Wheel of Fortune. I got to watch the Channel 6, Channel 12 news. Really? And I got to watch the Cosby Show.
Get out, really, for real. But did you know who Rice was?
No, not until like my junior year in college.
Oh my gosh, that's bananas. You didn't know who Jerry Rice was till your junior year in college?
Junior year in college. I had no idea because I never followed football like that. So I never really was a football fan.
So you go to camp, though. I know a little bit about the history. So Jerry Rice is there. Then there's a number one pick in front of you, Stokes out of UCLA. Wasn't he there
got
too?
drafted the year before, 95.
So they got a number one. They invest a third-round pick in you, right? What was that like? Did you have to earn a roster spot? Like, were you the first thing, like, I got to make the spot? Or
well, absolutely. I again, not really knowing and being aware of what the draft consists of, what it encompasses. I mean, I thought, okay, you drafted, you're on the team. I mean, I didn't know you had. Really? I didn't know you had to go through the process of you got to make the team. So
that's awesome.
Again, like I said, that was kind of how clueless I was to really me playing beyond the collegiate level, because I never thought that I would play beyond the collegiate level.
Awesome.
We mentioned basketball. I played 3 years of basketball. I mean, the program wanted me not to play my senior year, understanding that I had an opportunity to play professionally football. So, but my love was so great for basketball. I was like, no, I'm not going to forego my senior year of playing basketball to concentrate on football, when that was never really on my radar.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I was drafted, wore number 15 in camp. My coaches, Larry Kirksey at the time, they drafted me on potential based on my physical attributes and what I could probably add to the game. They thought that I could learn under Jerry Rice, J.J. Stokes, and then I got to be there and saw guys like Nate Singleton. These are veteran receivers, Chris Thomas, and a lot of other free agents that were on the team at the time.
Yeah.
So I'm looking around, I'm like, I'm number 15. I don't get an 80 number. You don't get an 80 number, a legit number, until you make the team.
I didn't know that.
So 15 was my number, going all the way through preseason. And as this preseason unfolded, you started to see the cuts break down as we get closer to the season. So I saw guys that I felt in my mind were better than I was.
Really?
They were getting cut. So I mean, it's natural instinct. Okay, if you know that your skill set is not where theirs are.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, well, I'm next.
You're next. Yeah.
That's the same. I was a realist about my abilities when I was in high school and college. I knew that there were guys that were better than me.
That's crazy to hear.
I knew in college, I knew that there were guys that were bigger, faster, and stronger than me, even in college. But that's what prompted me to get the key. Not only did I work out in my spare time when I was in high school, those 30, 45 minutes, I didn't go home during the summer after my freshman and sophomore year of school. So I got the key from the strength and conditioning coach. I did the same thing. Got the key to the weight room.
Here we go.
Did the same thing. I would go in. That's how I got stronger, because I was in there by myself. So I had to lift off by myself. I had to be careful because I was in there by myself.
No one spotting you.
Nobody spotting me. So that's how I got stronger. So these are some of the things that I did unbeknownst to the world out there in terms of how I made it.
This is so good because you outworked everybody. It's also the things you do when no one's watching. Like when you played, one of the things everyone would say, oh, his physique.
Right.
Now you know where this comes from.
It doesn't happen overnight.
That's awesome to hear. I hope everyone's hearing these lessons, business, sports, you name it. And then again, this running theme of you taking advantage of opportunity, right? So during that season, Rice gets hurt.
That's my second
season.
year.
Is that when you had your breakthrough? Was really the second season?
Yeah, kind of, sort of. Yeah,
okay.
I played sparingly. You know, my rookie year, I played a lot of special teams.
Yes. But would you catch a couple passes that year, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think I had I don't know how many yards I had. No, I think I had like 4 touchdowns my rookie year. But again, I started to kind of just familiarize myself with the playbook, Steve Young, just the culture of professional football in itself. And so I go in my second year, again, going into the offseason, I'm preparing myself just to be a vital part, of value to the team. And so we go into my second season, first game, we go down to Tampa. Jerry Rice, I think he runs a reverser or something, and Warren Sapp, I think, just beat our defensive end, got him from behind, and he tears his ACL. From that point on, I mean, I get thrown into the fire.
Here we go.
And so that's where that preparation, you know, that and just me familiarizing everything that I had done my rookie year, leading up to my second year, I was preparing myself for this moment.
I love it.
And if I wasn't prepared, then I wouldn't have been able to add value to the team. You see, I didn't say success because there was no level of success at that point.
Wow.
I was still trying to add value.
Wow.
I was trying to add value to the Jerry Rices, to the Steve Youngs, to the J.J. Stokes, to the organization, to the team itself.
Wow.
So I hadn't really experienced any success at this point. I was still trying in that mode of proving myself that I could play at the professional level.
What a great distinction. So when did by the way, I want to tell you one thing, just off the whole thing. I turn on a football game, it's the playoffs, it's you guys against Green Bay. The best catch I've seen in a clutch moment in my entire life is that catch you made in the end zone.
That says a lot.
What year was that, though?
99.
Okay, we're going to feed this in right here. You're going to watch this guy come across. It's the middle, and you get obliterated and hold on to this football, right? Like that's the kind of stuff about like you added value, and then it was like, oh my God, this guy's special.
It's literally like where I caught the ball. It's equivalent to going in between two cars,
Unreal.
or going into the eye of a hurricane or a tornado. Because Steve Young, he put that pass where nobody else could catch it but me.
How much time was left in the game?
I think at that time when I caught it, was about 8 seconds left.
Like 8 seconds left in the game, right? So I think things like that start happening. So you took advantage of your opportunity. Then there's these special moments, and you start going, wait a minute. Maybe I got something here, right? Maybe I'm special. When did you have this guy, just so you know, this man had 20 catches in a single football game. So I'm curious, did you know going into that game, like whoever the corner was that way, I'm going to eat this dude up? Or was that just the game kind of fell in your direction?
Well, for everybody that don't know out there, this is Jerry Rice's last home game.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So, yeah, this is Jerry Rice's last home game. We played the Chicago Bears.
Okay.
we go into this game with the game plan and the mindset of we're trying to send this guy off into the sunset, you know what I mean? We're trying to send him off into something like this.
Right.
You know what I mean? So our first 15 plays scripted or 20 plays, if it was 15.
Okay.
I guarantee you 98% of the pass plays, 13 to 14 of the pass plays, or the plays in general, were for Jerry.
Okay.
We're trying to send the greatest receiver of all time out the best way possible.
Got you.
But not only did we know that, but the world knew that. The Chicago Bears knew that. Right. The defense knew that.
Yes.
So they tried to prevent, and they did a great job of taking him out of the game
Taking him away, which opened up space for you.
What did you just mention? You segue into this by saying me taking advantage of opportunities.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. So Jeff Garcia, the quarterback at the time, he had to be smart going through his progressions, knowing that, okay, I can't imagine what Jeff was like. We're trying to get the greatest receiver of all time. We're trying to get him off. And so he has to be smart about the game plan, not to force anything. So he goes through his progressions, and Jerry being the number one receiver, and you could have said that me and JJ, again, depending on the receiver sets or formations, we're 2 and 3 in the progression.
Yeah.
So I was just basically running my routes to win, to be open, to be that secondary receiver. If Jeff goes through his one option and Jerry's not there, he goes to 2 or he goes to 3. I was on the receiving end of 20 of those passes.
20. It's interesting. This is like the most telling part of the interview, just so you know, because the perception of you, I think sometimes is that and it's completely opposite. I'm going to bring another example up in a minute. I think like the ultimate team player on the field. I just asked you about a record you had for a long time, and you credited Jerry with it. You literally just said that he created opportunities for me, right?
It really was.
That's a team. That's what a team person. Actually, most team guys would not even say that. So that's incredible that I ask you about a record you hold. And you basically give credit to Rice for moving coverage his way and opening things up for you, and to your quarterback, by the way, too. I'm curious because now you become the Jerry Rice the rest of your career. One of the things that's unique, you guys, when you're at a high level of sports is that, you see the records he's got, but you have to understand something. Every football game this man went into for about a decade or more, the defense on that Monday when they got together was, how do we stop 81? Right? You understand the whole structure of the defense is, how do we take away their best weapon? This was their best weapon. What's that like? I'm curious. Like all week, you got to be so good. You're going to face their best corner, right? Or they're going to slant coverage your way. You're going to get double covered most of the time, whatever it is. What's it like knowing a whole team is scheming against you, and how did you end up prevailing week after week after week, beating coverage like that? What was that? Was it the ability to run the route? Was it your film study? All of it? Like what was it?
It's just my preparation, understanding what they're going to give me, understanding my coaching, them helping me. They were helping me perfect the craft of becoming a receiver. Coming out of Chattanooga, I had no idea I wasn't faced with the level of competition that I was going to be facing in the pros. So I had to work on these things, day in and day out after practice, working with my hands, working with my feet. My physical part, that was a given. I mean, I could run through a guy all day, but I knew in order for me to progress and get to the level of Jerry Rice, then I had to add some tools to my toolbox. I had a toolbox, but I probably had maybe 2 or 3 tools in there.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So I was lacking. So I had to add some tools to my repertoire and to my box in order to really perform at the level that I knew that I could once I started to grasp what I could do on the football field.
So the separator was that extra preparation, those extra tools. Again,
you have average, you have good, and you have great football players. And you see that there's only the margin with good and great is very, very slim. And what separates those guys, when you think about in football, you think about the Jerrys, you think about the Tom Brady's, your Steve Young, Hall of Fame caliber or talent guys. In basketball, you think about the Kobe, you think about the Michael Jordan, you think about the LeBrons and what they're doing later on in their careers is because they realize that there's something that separates them from good to great. Coming out of high school, I wasn't that great coming out of high school, but these guys, when you think about Kobe's, the Kevin Garnett's, the LeBrons, they're projected to be great. But it'll be a big disappointment and failure if they don't exceed or live up to those expectations. But you think about what Kobe did. He took the blueprint of what Michael Jordan did. You think about what LeBron has done. Not only, you can't just pinpoint and characterize him with one particular player. He possesses so many abilities from all these great players that are paved the way from him. He realizes that, and he took advantage of the opportunities. So he takes the time to play 15 seasons, and now you feel like you look at this guy play, he can play 15 more because he's invested in himself. He believes in himself. And that's what I had to do too. I knew that I wasn't good at that at one point. I was average. I started from average. And I worked my way to good. And then once I saw, I'm like, okay, I'm a pretty decent athlete. What can I do to take me to the next level? I utilized the resources around me, from my personal trainer to my coaches. I listened. When I would be on the football field and I would see Steve Young talking to Brent Jones, or he would be talking to the quarterback coach Matt Cavanaugh, or when Bill Walsh may walk on the field, or he's talking to Jerry Rice. These are conversations that they had. I was in earshot distance. I would be paying attention. So if there was something that he and Steve and Jerry are trying to get on the same page with, I knew that he's talking to him, but I'm being taught at the same time. So I'm taking all this into account, into consideration, because I may be in that situation one day, and ultimately I was, because I had some big shoes to fill. I was honestly, I was afraid to be average. I was afraid to be good. I wanted to be great. I wanted to be better than good. And so that's what enabled me to do the things that I did on the football field. When I saw smaller guys, squirt through defenses, how quick they were, how agile they were, I knew as a big body, in order for me to get to that level, I had to work on these things.
Wow, this is awesome. Like maybe some of my favorite 3 or 4 minutes in the history of doing this, because this is like inside the inside of the inside of a Hall of Famer in anything. Same is true for any of you guys in business. You get to that level where you're good, and you want to get to that level where you're being great. It's fighting for these little extra things, those extra mentors, extra conversations, extra preparation, extra tool in your toolbox to communicate or close or product or whatever the heck it is. Like, it's awesome. Curious, this is a football question. Toughest corner you had to go up against in your career?
Aeneas Williams.
Aeneas Williams from the Cardinals. Was he in the Cardinals? Yeah.
First, he was with the St. Louis Rams.
Yeah, Rams and then Cards, right?
Because we played, I was in the NFC West, so we played them twice a year for my first 3 or 4 years. And so he was a big corner.
Okay.
I was a big receiver. So again, I'm sure he did film study, just like I had to do film study. And guys that did film study to try to minimize you, like you said, they game plan. How do you stop this guy?
Yes.
I was just a young buck, 81. How do you stop? How do you stop this young kid? Yeah. How do you stop this young kid?
Yeah.
So him being a veteran, I'm sure he studied film on what I did good, what I did decent, what I did poorly, and he probably tried to minimize those things, eliminate those things. What I did great, good at that time. And so it was tough getting off bump and run, because going to a small school, I wasn't faced with a lot of that.
Okay. So everybody probably wanted to get physical with you at the line of scrimmage, but very few guys had the capacity to do it because you were so strong, right? And Williams could.
Right, and the thing is, especially for him, he was just my size, so he could. There was some room for error for him to make up. But if it's a smaller guy, if they mess around and they slip, I use my physicality or my quickness to get by. They know it's a wrap. It's a wrap. Yeah. So they didn't come up and press me as much. But he was the guy that forced me. I'm like, man, I got to get better, because I can't only just get by with getting having some success against these other corners. Yeah. There are going to be other big corners in the league. They're going to look at him like, okay, he stopped T.O. So let me see how he did it. Wow. So I had to prepare myself for any and every situation.
I love hearing this. The other thing about you as a player, then we'll move off this, but I want to say one thing is I think people underestimate how tough you were. First off, the best of ability is availability. You were available all the time. You were durable, like LeBron. It's one of the great things about LeBron James.
Nutrition.
Right? Nutrition. And
taking
Brady.
Care of your body,
Brady had the 1 year with his knee, but this dude plays football, right? Like, he's available. It's how you rack up these numbers, right? And help your football team bring value. You were tough, though. And so I'm a Patriot fan. So I just want to talk about this one situation. You know what I'm going to say, right? But
Super Bowl 39.
Super Bowl 39. So this man gets to the Super Bowl, and the truth is, a few weeks prior to that, he basically breaks his leg and has a screw in your leg. Is that not right?
Yeah, I had 2 screws in my ankle. I tore a lot of the ligaments in my ankle.
Okay.
Upon the diagnosis, once I got my MRI the following day, a lot of ligaments torn. I didn't know my leg was broken till I got an X-ray, because they MRI'd my whole leg, because I went to sleep that night and my leg was aching so bad. Not my ankle, like I iced it, but I was throbbing throughout the course of the night up by my knee.
Okay.
And so I told the radiologist, I'm like, yo, it's like my leg was aching throughout the course of the night. He's like, all right, cool. We'll just X-ray the whole leg or whatever and see what's going on.
This is one of the most underreported stories, seriously, I think in the history of the NFL, right? This man played in the Super Bowl. No one thought he was going to play. They weren't sure the game plan for it, but no one thought he was going to play. This man played with a recently broken leg in the Super Bowl. This is something that no one talks about. There was even a slight limp when you would watch him warm up, and then he flat, early in the game, I'm watching the game, I go, oh God, Owens is going to kill us. The only reason, I'm not being negative about anybody, I want you to talk about playing with that injury, playing through some pain, because you had to be in some pain or some discomfort or you weren't at your best. But I'll be honest with you, I watched that Super Bowl. If they'd have continued to get you that football in that game, there would have been a different result in that football game. I remember that last couple drives you had were taking forever. I'm like, thank God it's taking forever. They're not getting the ball to T.O. They literally, if they just kept feeding you the football, they could not cover you. You were like a man on a mission in that football. I'm not saying that because you're sitting here either. It's a standout moment for me in sports. I coach a lot of athletes. I know that you weren't at your best and you came into, again, the greatest opportunity of your career was this Super Bowl to shine, and you shine. And if had they won the football game, it would have been a legendary story people would tell forever because you played so hurt. So just talk about that game a little bit and that injury and playing with it. Your thoughts about it?
Number one, my faith in God. I mentioned my grandmother. We didn't touch on it earlier, but she was a Christian lady, raised me in the church. Again, she always told me about Philippians 4:13, and that scripture is, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
My favorite scripture.
So, number one, I wanted to exercise my faith in God. It was bigger than the Super Bowl. I wanted to show people that if you believe in yourself, if you believe in God, if you believe in some higher being, and in my case, I believe in God, that all things are possible. When doctors excluded me, they said that there was no way. They said there was no way I would be playing in the Super Bowl in 6.5, 7 weeks. At 3 weeks, they said there's no way there's no way he'll be walking around. But I wanted to defy the odds. So everything that the Super Bowl encompasses, when you think about the magnitude and you think about the end result of trying to hold that Lombardi trophy up, that never really dawned on me as I prepared. I knew what I was preparing for, but in order to achieve that, I had to get on the field to perform. I had to be able to play in order for any of that to happen.
Amazing.
So I just wanted to, my training staff, Rick Burkholder, they were behind me 100%. Those guys saw my preparation from the time that I got traded from San Francisco to Philly. They understood how hard I worked. They had already heard about it, but then they got to see it firsthand. I prepared myself before every practice to try to eliminate injuries for the long haul. It's like going on a vacation. When you got a car and you're about to go cross country, you got to make sure the nuts and bolts of the cars, the tires are balanced and rotated. You got to make sure everything in the hood is ready for this road trip. So that's how I prepared for the season. So going into the Super Bowl, I prepared my rehab process from mid-December to February. I prepared myself like it was the first time that I was preparing for anything.
Wow.
And so with that help of the training staff, I was able to do some remarkable things on that football
field. Was it a
field.
game time thing, or did you know you were going to play that day?
Leading up to game day,
Yeah.
my first time practicing was Wednesday.
Okay.
Mondays and Tuesdays are pretty light days.
So you were out 7 weeks. First practice back is the Wednesday before the Super Bowl.
Wednesday before the Super Bowl.
Crazy, man.
Going into it, Wednesday, it was unseasonably cold and rainy during this time of the year in Jacksonville. So that was my first practice. So up until this point, I'm running around, I'm rehabbing, going through ladders, I'm doing everything, no problem. This particular day on Wednesday, it's raining, it's drizzling rain, it's cold, it's about 40 degrees. I start to run around and my legs started to ache.
Oh my gosh.
So that put doubt in the head coach's mind that I would be ready by Friday. And it was scary for me and Rick, the trainer at the time, because he hadn't seen me limp or do anything up until this point. And I'm talking about I'm doing ladders, I'm doing drills to assimilate like game type atmosphere. So now I'm practicing for the first time and I start limping and I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on?
Wow.
I told Rick after the practice, I said, Rick, don't worry about it. I said, trust me. I know you believe in me. I said, just tell Andy I will be ready by Sunday. And on Friday is when they assess injured guys. And they have to clear them for the games.
Oh boy.
So they had this meeting on Friday after our practice, and Andy Reid still had doubt. Thursday was obviously better than Wednesday, but he still had doubt. So I said, Rick, I will be ready. I said, just believe me. He believed me. That's one thing I will say about Rick. He's now with the Kansas City Chiefs, still right there with Andy Reid.
Yes.
We talked today like we've never, like I'd never departed.
Wow.
But he knew I was going to be ready. So he had to convince Andy, he's going to be ready. And I think if Andy could do it all over again, he would give me more opportunities on that Super Bowl 39 Sunday, because I think he took the reins off a little bit.
Yes.
But the opportunities that were given to me that day, I had 9 passes to come my way.
Yeah.
I took advantage of the 9 passes.
How much you catch?
9 for 122.
You had 9 thrown at 9 targets, 9 catches.
9, yep.
Now for 122 yards. And I'm going to tell you, I watched the game. He won't say this, I will. The dominant player on the field that day, and Tommy's a friend of mine, right? And he won that Super Bowl. The dominant player on the field that day was T.O. He was the dominant player, and it scared me as a Patriot fan. Like, if they keep getting this man the football, because it was one of those days where, like, you've seen games like that, you've had games like that, you're like, this athlete is dominating these guys in this coverage, no matter what they moved your way. I think you could have had 25 catches that day if they'd have targeted you 25 times. I'm not saying that because you're sitting here. I'm glad they did it, no offense, because it helped them win another Super Bowl.
Yeah, I honestly believe, like, if I had 1 or 2 more catches, that increases our chances of winning that game. And we end up losing by 3 points, but there's no consolation prize for second place.
It's one of the all-time gutty performances. People talk about way back in the day, Jack Youngblood played with a broken leg. You know, everybody knows that story that knows the NFL. It's one of the all-time gutty performances. The history of professional sports in the Super Bowl was T.O. in that. So just unreal career. We'll talk about the Hall of Fame in a minute. I got a question for you. Obviously, throughout your career, not everything was rosy, right? So on the field, real rosy. Not always off the field. By the way, off the field, I want to point out the thing about T.O. too. Barely drinks, does no drugs, never a distraction off the football field. But there was some media stuff, how they painted you, how you reacted, et cetera. What do you regret? Like, if you went back, you said, hey, I'd change this if I could. If I'm being honest, if I look back on my career on the field, I can't believe you change anything. But off the field, media related, all that kind of stuff, what would you say?
I wouldn't. I regret is a strong word.
What would you change?
I don't regret anything. I mean, could I have gone and could I wish I could go back and change some things. If I had to change anything, it would be my communication with management. It would be my communication with coaches. It would be my communication with players. But I attribute the lack of communication with my upbringing.
Yes.
Because like I said, it was socially awkward for me to be involved outside of functions where I had to be included, because again, I wasn't allowed to do any of that with my grandmother. So I was a product of my environment, my upbringing. As I grew up, and now looking back on it, again, I understand that my poor communication on every scale, it hindered me not only in my professional life, but my personal life as well. When you think about dating, being in a relationship, what is one of the key things to solving a lot of things is communication. So again, I see where the lack of a father being in the household, how that hindered me a lot. When you have parents, or you have kids with both parents in the household, you tend to see that those are kids that are more successful. When you have kids that are in single, especially in urban homes, they seem to face a lot more adversity. They're more challenged in a number of ways, and so I'm no different. And so, as you said, I don't stand here, and I've never said that I was perfect by any means. It was a growth, a maturation process that I've had to go through, that a lot of people have had to go through. And it's unfortunate that people see me in a different light based on what they've heard through the media, what they've read. Obviously, as a part of the media, but at the end of the day, I always refer, and I just hold on those words of my grandmother. Always be true to who you are. No matter what the situation, people are going to talk good and bad about you. Because if you allow that to manifest and get under your skin, you're not going to progress as a human being. And so I've always felt that way. Always played with a chip on my shoulders, even in every situation. Whenever it was something, again, with management or coaches or a player, I didn't allow that to deter what I had to do on the football field.
That's for sure.
Because I knew that if I did that, I wasn't playing for the right reason. And we weren't going to benefit understanding my level of play and what I brought to the table. My goal was obviously to win a championship. And in order to do that, I had to be efficient on the football field. And if I let outside things and outside noise affect me to where it affected my play, then where's my value?
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's an honest answer, and I do see that too. The other thing too is that I watched. All I know is I watched the guy contribute on the field, and everyone that I know that knows you, so that actually knows you or has interacted with you, every single person tells me the same thing. He's such a good guy, so warm. Even your spirit, you just know you're a good, warm dude. Even I watch how you treat my guys with the cameras, every little thing like that, because some guys don't do that. The camera comes on as oh, hi, and they're like a whole different character. Who you see sitting here is who he is right when this camera clicks off, and I love that about you, brother. Like I admire you. I admire what you've become and where you come from, and it's all culminated to kind of the final couple pieces here. It's culminated, now you're on the ultimate team. Right? You're in the Hall of Fame. So if you go back, I'm just curious, I want to know how you feel about that. You go back to this little boy, T.O., no father in the house, small town, food stamps, projects, mom's 17 when she has you. This is amazing, man. Grandma kind of raises you with mom, but grandma's the main influence. Not a great high school player until you advanced, got your opportunities. Go to a relatively unknown college. 3rd round draft pick. When you get to the team, Jerry Rice is on the flipping team, and there's a guy they draft the year before who's a 1st rounder, so that's not ideal either. And I'm just curious, this journey's taken you from Dallas to Philly to, you were in Cincinnati, Buffalo. Did I miss anywhere? Is that it?
San Francisco, Philly, Dallas, Buffalo, and Cincinnati.
See, I kind of know my stuff, don't I?
You got it.
So you have this journey from this little boy T.O. to this man now. And now you're about to get inducted into your great-great-grandchildren are going to come visit this bust of you at the Hall of Fame. You go down in history now, right? Like, that's amazing. Very few people have ever walked the earth end up in this group. What's that feel like for you? I'm curious. Are you proud of you? Do you see it as a big deal? Like, I'm curious.
Again, it just hasn't sunk in because, again, like I said, I felt like my career was incomplete. Getting to the Hall of Fame, it doesn't complete my career for me. It doesn't validate it because I know I could have done more. Understanding the politics of the game. Being that I was so outspoken. But you think, and you see now where we are as a country, as a society, and you think about the millennials, everything that I did back then, it was frowned upon. You think about the platform, the social media platforms where these kids and everybody has a voice to be heard. I was doing those same things.
I know.
It was frowned upon, but now it's being embraced. I feel like I was ahead of my time in terms of how people viewed me, in terms of the platform and the voice that I had. I know that I'm not a bad person. We just talked about it. Could I have done some things differently? Of course. But when you talk about character, I'm always going to defend my character. We're talking about the Hall of Fame and what that means. The reason I've been so vocal about that is because I'm going to defend my character. My reputation is what it is. You can ask anybody about that, and it's going to be good, it's going to be bad. But in terms of my character,
there you go.
That's what I'm going to defend because my grandmother, she instilled in me who I am and who people get a chance to see on an everyday, not on an everyday basis, but when you spend 15, 20 minutes to an hour, you get to see the essence of who Terrell is. On that football field, it's like I'm a Marvel character. I'm a superhero.
That's right.
I put on that uniform and I turn into somebody else. You think about Peter Parker goes to Spider-Man, David Banner in the Incredible Hulk, Clark Kent into Superman, Diana to Wonder Woman. That's how I separate the two. And so being in the Hall of Fame, I understand it's an honor. It's great. It's a great accomplishment. I'm hoping my kids can one day sit and watch and really just hear the words that are coming out of my mouth and understand who their father is. What I've had to go through, what I've had to overcome. It wasn't the worst of things, but everybody always has their path to success, their journey.
That's why I wanted you on the show, because I think it's one of the most extraordinary stories I think it's a story of like achievement, of overcoming adversity, of hope, of honesty, of hard work, of toughness, of resiliency, of performing, of taking advantage of opportunities when they put up multiple ones. Like doesn't start his junior year, dude gets sick, ends up becoming in the NFL Hall of Fame. I mean, like, I think this journey, this story is like, I think it's just magnificent. Like I want people to see it. And actions speak louder than words. Your actions are scream. Look at the actions. There's a sheet here of your records. I started to think I was going to do it. This is just, we have a whole daggum interview on just this stuff right here, right? It's bananas. So I want to say congratulations to you for that.
So much.
And also,
thank you.
How you treat people precedes you. And I want to thank you for being a humble guy and a giving guy and a generous guy. You can be humble, giving, generous, and still be strong and confident. Yeah. And I think people misunderstand that, and you embody it. Before we go, though, a couple things I want to make sure they can do. First off, how do they find you on social media, number one? Because I want them to interact with you, because this man's going in the Hall of Fame. You're about to watch him go on the next journey of his life, which is going to be extraordinary. All the philanthropic stuff you do. So how do they find you on social, first of all?
At Terrell Owens, and obviously Facebook. You can find me Facebook at terrellowens.com.
Okay.
I have 2 Facebook pages. I have a fan page and my personal page. My personal page has a photo of me with some shades on it.
Okay.
My fan page has my logo, my TO logo.
Okay.
And so just to know that you're on the right page, those are mine. Again, like I said, I'm very social media active. Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat.
Okay.
All of that.
And the reason I want you to
at
Terrell Owens. And the reason I want you guys to interact with him on there too is I've told T.O. this, and he's starting to do a whole lot more of it too. T.O. would be an incredible speaker, those of you that run companies, to bring into your company, to have him interviewed, to have him speak, because the story itself is just extraordinary, right? And like we were talking beforehand, just so you know, people that walk the walk are unique. He could go play right now. Right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And he may be the first person, we talked about it, you never know, who's in the Hall of Fame, who's still playing football if someone needs a receiver. Tell him right now, 3 days ago you ran the 40. What you ran the 40?
I ran a 4.5.
Ran a 4.5.
4.5. And literally I came off a plane that day, had a couple of meetings.
Yeah.
And then my buddy challenged me, Matthew Hatchett. He played with the Vikings, played with the Jets back in the day. We're good friends. He coaches at Poly High School, and we're about the same age. I think he's a year younger than me, and we're always talking about who's in better shape. And we got to talking, and he goes, "What can you run the 40?" And I said, "Dude, I can at least run a 4.4, 4.5."
Yeah.
He goes, "There's no way."
Right.
He goes, "T, there's no way."
Yeah.
I said, "Dude, and I haven't done anything. I haven't run a 40 in like 4 years."
Yeah.
I said, "Dude, I can at least run a 4.5." I said, "I'm gonna challenge myself to run under a 4.5." I said, 4.5 is easy. That's a given.
Wow.
So he coaches, he trains some kids. He was at Culver City High School. I happened to be in the area. Again, like I said, I had just got off the plane, did a couple of things.
Crazy.
And he's like, "Oh, I'm over the high school. Come over and run this 40." So I always prepare myself. So I had some shoes in the trunk, went down there. Always prepared. And I ran it a few times, and my best time. Both guys clocked me.
2 guys clocked it.
4.5.
4.5. That's awesome. By the way, you GMs that are out there watching this, just so you know, ran a 4.5 right off the damn plane.
And
so
just imagine if somebody's chasing me. Hey, that's why I had 153 touchdowns. I was out there running scared. It's so funny. We talk about the 222-pound football guy that's running around with a lot of confidence, a lot of physical ability. Yeah. But in my mind, dude, I always still I felt like I was that little kid in junior high school that's 170, 80 pounds.
Wow.
Getting picked on, running around that field with grown men. You think I'm about to let Ray Lewis hit me? You think I'm about to let Steve Atwater hit me?
Right.
I'm out there running scared. That's how I had 153 touchdowns.
That's so awesome, man. 4.5 with nobody chasing you. And then the last thing, because he's also in the business world too. The guys who were filming this, they're like, I seen this super cool backpack that I wanted to get, right? That's like this whole new innovative thing, and and he happens to be involved in the company they were talking about.
Right.
So just tell them real quick, how do you pronounce it and how do they find it?
First of all, I'm into a lot of things in technology. I'm into home decor. I'm into fashion.
Yes.
I try to look good. That's part of looking. Staying lean. Yeah. But again, when you think about fashion, there are so many elements to fashion. But you think about backpacks, and it cannot. Not backpacks are not just for school now. You know what I mean? You can look cool. You can look stylish. Again, this is a high-end type of backpack. It's a Zoox bag. Go to zooxbag.com. That's XOOX bag, BAG.com, and you'll see the style of bag that we're talking about. And it's just not just a backpack.
Right, tell them.
Just to put stuff in. You can put your laptop in, other items, but the cool thing about this bag is it has 2 detachable speakers.
Yes.
You know, that's the technology, aspect of the bag as well, that you can play music, Bluetooth, very stylish. I mean, like I said,
it's awesome. It's like a lifestyle bag as much as it is,
You
right?
said
It
it.
looks good, but also it's a lifestyle bag. And I just to tell you, my camera guys were talking about that.
Yeah.
You end up here and they're like, hey, he's like, that's my company.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. So
Pretty cool.
this is a great season of your life, and I'm proud of you, and I'm excited for you, and I'm grateful for today very
Appreciate it.
much.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
so
having me.
much, T.O., for
Yeah,
being
absolutely.
here, brother. I
Appreciate
enjoyed
it.
it so much. And so, as I always tell all of you, first off, make sure you're running my 2-minute drill. It's not the 2-minute drill he ran. 2-minute drill is that when I make a post on Instagram, in the first 2 minutes, anybody makes a comment with a hashtag max out to it, you get in a drawing that day to win my gear, my books, all kinds of stuff from me. So make sure you're making comments. And when you see this interview here today, if you're watching on iTunes, give it a review. If you're on YouTube, some platform like that, make sure that you make a comment, give it a like or something like that. I hope you enjoyed today's program, everybody, and max out. God bless you.